Hello everybody, I like The Last Jedi, and this video was supposed to be about the upcoming Stephen King novel Later. See, so they released the first couple of paragraphs of that book as like a bit of promotional material, and so what I did was I copied and pasted it and put it into AI Dungeons, a text-based AI choose your own adventure game. I've done this before with other videos and they actually did pretty well for my channel, and so I was going to do it again with the new book Later. Unfortunately, what turned out with that AI adventure, so I put the text in, let it run for about 15 minutes, and then I read it. And so what happened with Later's was it was just really, really boring. And so I was like, I can't do that. So what I'm going to do today is I did it with The Shining, and it's not great, not as great as some of the other ones, but it's a lot better than what we had. So if you want me to do, I might redo Later, or I might release the one that I already had, but it's boring, so just let me know what you want me to do in the comments below. And I will do Dr. Sleep eventually as well, the sequel to The Shining, but for right now. So I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to add a little bit of my own commentary as I see fit. This was the first paragraph of Stephen King's The Shining. Oldman stood about 5'5", and when he moved, it was with the prissy speed that seems to be exclusive domain of all small, plump men. The part in his hair was exact, and his dark suit was sober but comforting. "I am a man who can bring you can bring your problems to," that suit said to the paying customer. To the hired hand, it spoke more curtly. "This better be good, you." There was a red carnation in the lapel, perhaps so that no one on the street would mistake Stuart Oldman for the local undertaker. So that was the first paragraph of The Shining, and now this is where the AI picks up. "He did not look at me, though. He looked down into the glass case containing the golden coins. 'I have come here today,' he began, 'to give this money to my son.' 'What is the meaning of this?' I asked. Something I should add is typically the main character in these things is I or me. Sometimes it's you, meaning it's like a POV type thing. 'What is the meaning of this?' I asked. 'The meaning of this,' he answered simply, 'my son has been born again.' You say, 'What do you mean?' See, he just said you, but you and I are the same character in this story. It's a little bit weird. 'He took the name of Jesus,' he explained. 'He wears a cross around his neck, but he still takes money for his work.' 'What kind of work?' 'He sells drugs,' he said simply. 'You're taking this pretty calmly,' I said. 'I have to come to terms with it,' he said. 'You raised the subject,' I said. 'I am in a state of shock. This is all that I can say. What can I do for you, Mr. Oldman?' 'Stuart will do,' he said. 'I want you to put this money back in the safe.' The case was slowly warming my hands, but I had promised to give the money away. 'I can't do that,' I said. 'You can,' he said simply, 'or you won't get paid.' I gave him a blank look. 'I will give you 5 minutes,' he said. 'After that, I will take the money myself.' Stuart Oldman was a businessman first and foremost. He ran the drug trade in the area, and he knew as well as I did how much money I had coming in. He was starting to take that money, knowing I had I don't know this word. I don't know how to say this word. Fiduciary. Fiduciary? It's pronounced fiduciary. I don't know. No, I had a duty to my employer. I didn't think he'd do it. 'What's your choice?' he asked. 'Do you want this money or not?' 'Yes,' I said. He sighed. 'Then I guess we better do this.' Stuart Oldman walked out of the bank, leaving me alone in the lobby. I locked the door and removed the coin case from the safe. It was heavily worn, and I reasoned that if I gave this money to Mark, he couldn't possibly know its true worth. He might take it as just more money and use it appropriately. He could really use it. He was on the road to becoming a junkie. I ran up to the street, heading towards the shop. I had no idea how I was going to get him to open up, or even if he would. He was a nice enough guy as far as I knew, but he could be grudging at times. It had to be a pretty bad situation for him. I didn't get far, however, when I arrived at the store. It was closed. I looked around, surprised, and noticed that it was nearly closing time. Surely Mark would be the first one to arrive for work. He should have been here hours ago. Had someone come up? Was he sick? Had something come up? Was he sick? I stepped inside the shop, looked around. It was empty as far as I could see. Then my eyes were drawn to the counter, where I saw him. He was slumped over the counter, his head resting on it. "Mark," I said. Rushing to him, I checked his pulse. It was strong but racing, and his eyes were wide open. I picked him up and sat him up, shaking him gently. "Wake up," I said. "Wake up." Bob?" he asked, slowly waking up. "Yeah," I said. "What's going on? What's happening?" I fell asleep while closing the store. Where were you? Were you walking home? Were you drinking? Mark just shook his head. "We've got to get you help," I said. "We need to call an ambulance or something." "It's late," he said. "The shop's closed. We can fix this." "Fix what?" I asked, confused. "What are you talking about?" "We need you to a hospital." "We need to go back in time," he said. "Go back in time?" I asked. "What do you mean?" "I have to go back in time to save Allison," he said. "Who's Allison?" "My future wife. I have to get married." "Married?" I asked, shocked. "Why didn't you tell me?" "You didn't like girls, and that was an agreement," Mark said. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. I just stood there staring at him in shock. He didn't look well. There was a dazed look in his eyes. He looked as though he'd been drinking or taking drugs. I didn't know what to think. I have to go back," he said. "Can you manage the shop for a few days? Can you run it without me for a few days?" "Yeah," I said. "I can manage." "Thanks, Bob," he said. "Oh, and tell Jennifer I love her." "I thought you hated her." I do," Mark said, "but she's still the girl I love." "Oh, and tell Tom I love him too." "Okay," I said. "I'll tell him." "Thanks, Bob," Mark said. "You don't have to do this," I said. "I'm just some dumb kid. I'm not going to make any difference. You could just go to the police or something." No, it has to be done. Thanks again, Bob. I'll see you later. Or earlier. Bye." "I have to go. You're the best guy. Your best friend a guy could have. You'll do great without me. I know it. Bye. I have to go. I have to be back in time." Mark stumbles up and heads towards the door. I take the opportunity to grab his shoulder, turning him around to look at me. Something is definitely wrong. You don't really want to do this," I said. "You're not okay. Something's going on and it's bad." "I have to get back in time," Mark says, staring at me blankly. "I have to get married, and if I don't, I'll get a divorce and never find my one true love." "Oh, come on," I said, rolling my eyes. "You don't really believe that." "Yes, I do," he says. "I have to go back in time." "You're a lousy lay." I don't know what that means. "You're a lousy lay. Who the hell is Allison?" Mark's eyes narrow as he stares at me. "None of your business," he says, pushing past me and heading towards the door. I sigh, shaking my head. I'm not going to get through to him. I guess some things are just too much of a priority. I open the door, holding it open for him to leave. "Bye, Mark," I said. "I'm glad I've been your friend, whatever you decide." "Goodbye, Bob," he says as he stumbles out the door. I watch as he walks down the street. He looks really bad. His face is pale and his eyes are wide. He stops suddenly before turning around and heading back inside the store. I shrug, closing the door and heading towards my room. The next few days are a blur. I barely even notice what's going on around me. The police are called in, but nothing is ever found. It's like it never even happened. I realize I'm in the store for most of the time, and I don't even care. I'm just there to sleep and eat. The police eventually tell me to go home, and I oblige as soon as I can. I don't want to leave. It feels like the end of the world here. But I guess it was. The next time I see Mark, he's sitting outside the store. He looks pretty bad, and has apparently been drinking. "Hey, Bob," he says. "You still alive in there?" "Yeah," I say. "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be home with your wife and kids?" "This is my home now," Mark says, taking a gulp from his bottle. "I don't have kids, and I have a pet tarantula instead." I burst out laughing, and he lets out a laugh of his own. "No, really," he says. "I'm serious. I found this beauty in my backyard. She looked like she was dead, but I got her inside of a jar and she's living now. I treat her nice and feed her only on baby mice." "Do tarantulas eat baby mice?" "I don't know." "That's weird," I say. "You might not want to tell the kids about that." "Why not?" Mark says. "They need to know the truth about spiders. It's in their nature to be scared of them, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it." Mark, people are talking outside. I'm just going to edit this out. Mark takes another drink from his bottle, rolling over on the ground to sit up straight. Have you heard of the Mayan apocalypse?" he asks. "It's real. I believe I saw a commercial for it on TV." Oh my God, you're sobering up, I say. I'm serious, Bob. I think it's going to happen. Well, it's not going to be for a while, you might as well know, I say. A year maybe, maybe more. Either way, I'm going to be dead by then, Mark says. I think I'd rather take my chances with the apocalypse. I sit down next to him, staring ahead. Why wait? You can't change what's going to happen, I say. You need to accept your fate and die quickly so you won't suffer. Mark laughs, holding his hands out. I don't think I will, he says. I think I'll be here on the streets when it happens. You should go home, I say. It's going to get dark soon. You need to be safe, but you can't stay out there. I'll be safe at home, Mark says. I'm not going to let the dead get me. I'm not afraid of them, Bob. I think they should be, at least a little bit, I say. Look what happened to the world. You're not afraid of the dead, Mark says. You've been fighting them for years. You should be afraid. No, I'm not afraid of them, I say. I'm afraid of what's going to happen when they get up. You can fight something all you want, but it's not going to stop it from eventually winning. You can shoot them in the head, decapitate them, shoot them in the chest, hack them into pieces. They're still going to rise again. You can scream as loud as you want, cry as much as you want, but it's all for naught. They'll just keep coming. You can outnumber them, outpace them, even destroy every tomb in the world, but at some point the numbers are going to be too great. The world isn't going to be livable anymore. I'm going to stop it from ever happening, but I need your help. I need you to get the word out. I want people to know how to stop the dead from ever rising again. I want to know how I did it. I want them to know how I did it, so that no one else can go through what I did, so that no one else has to be a librarian. That's a lot to ask, I say. I need your help too. Of course, Mark says. Well, what are you doing? What are you going to do? I hand him my walkie-talkie. I'm going to spread the good word. Save everyone you can. I'm going to grab the entire populations of those 2 buildings. There's too many to count. I'm going to take them all where I'll save as many as I can. The rest will be left to rot. It's a win-win situation. We have to save everyone and the dead will never rise again. Only the living will remain. What are you going to do with me, Mark says. With all those people? You'll be free. You can do whatever you please. You can even leave the city and never return. You can live wherever you want, if you want, and you can even come with me. I'll protect you. I can't do that, Mark says. I have to stay here. I have to save these people. You're going to let the dead rule over you, I ask, raising an eyebrow. That's not going to happen, not with me around. I'm going to try to make it so that it doesn't happen, Mark says. I'm sorry, Bob, I can't leave. Maybe someday, though. Maybe, I say. Alright, well, I've got work to do. Good luck, Mark. I hope we meet on the other side. I really do. I hand him the walkie-talkie. Keep this. It'll keep you safe, I say. I think it's best if you stay in the city. It's not going to be safe. It's not going to be a safe place after everything. You'll be free. I'll make sure of that. Goodbye, Mark. Goodbye, Bob. Be safe. I love you. I turn to leave. I love you, I say. Not able to say it louder than that. Then I leave. The first building is empty. People have all left, and there's a few soldiers on the ground, but they're fairly easy to dispatch with my knife. Once I get inside the building, I find more soldiers. I dispatch them easily enough, but then I find myself in a large, barren room. Empty save for a few scattered desks and chairs. I look around them quickly before I hear a low growl nearby. I look around before one of the desks grabs my attention. There's a large brown dog with long hair and ears, crouched by the couch where the person was sitting. It growls at me, and I back away slowly. I hear a shout from one of the doors to my left, and I see several soldiers heading my way. I quickly run over and hide behind a desk, waiting to see what will happen. At this point, the dog leaps up towards me, landing by the couch and looking as if to warn me away. Still, I don't know what kind of dog it is, and its behavior is very strange, but it's big and scary, so I stay away from it. The soldiers arrive and draw their guns. Drop your weapons, one of them says. You look around, there's a bunch of desks and chairs here. Some footlockers, some filing cabinets, and some standalone plants. A large flat television, some random pictures hanging up. What do you think? One of the soldiers says to the other. Shut up, the other one replies. It's the dog's collar, the first one says. It's making him talk. The second soldier walks around staring at things. He looks at the dog as if expecting it to do something, but it just lays there looking at him. It picks up one of the filing cabinets and slams it into the wall. What is this place? A school? Where are the teachers? The students? Dead. When did this happen? Last night. Who did this? We don't know. We were asleep. What's the last thing you remember? First soldier leans against a desk while the second begins rifling through the footlocker. You wake up in a hospital with the memories as vague as a dream. You have no idea where you are. You have no idea who these people are. But you know you're in big trouble. So that was The Shining. Yeah, it wasn't as good as some of the other ones, but it was fine. Yeah, so you can check out those other videos if you are interested in that. They're in the channel. Maybe I'll link them below if I can remember. But yeah, make sure you're subscribed. Check out our Patreon for exclusive videos. And I'll see you next time.